2009. And then we're off to El Salvador for a 2-day seminar about the Venus Project. So people all over the world are trying to introduce this the best that they can. Every single month we're in a new beautiful magazine, a very large spread with all of Jacque's designs in them practically. And all except for the United States. They are not touching it. But all over the world, they're doing
Let's look at another bit of your film. Because this is about, well, perhaps, Jacque, you can talk over it once it starts. I think this is to do with living at sea, isn't it? Can we get that film up now? Please.
Okay, you want me to describe it?
Yes, please. Here we go.
In the future, instead of taking one container off a ship at a time, the ship costs over $1 billion. It ties it up for 3 days. So the whole container section floats off the ship. That gives you 3 times the carrying capacity. All those ships are showing the whole container section removed off a ship rather than one at a time. That's how we raise the standard of living of everybody quickly. Bridges will be designed with single cables. This was designed a long time ago, this film. Today they're beginning to do that. All bridges are prefabricated and assembled in prefabricated methods. The trains, as you see, are suspended beneath the bridge. This is cities in the sea. The function of cities in the sea is to rebuild the reefs. Because the United States Army, 40 years ago, dumped 65 tons of nerve gas off the coast of Miami. How can you love the country and do those things? So we want to build these cities in the sea for oceanography studies, reclaiming the reefs, and cleaning out the garbage we've been dumping into the ocean for years. That has nothing to do with ego at all.
Now, not to mention Bikini Atoll, where you set off all your nuclear weapons.
How stupid can you be?
Well, anyway,
let's get back to... Sorry,
these are industrial plants at sea for mining. The oceans are filled with resources, pharmaceuticals, and earthquake cities in the sea that are floating will house thousands of people, some cities hundreds of people. It will vary.
Is this underwater?
Instead of putting fish in seaquariums, we will have underwater observation where you can walk through tunnels, look at the reefs. Some people want to live in floating domes on the lakes with a glass bottom so you can see the bottom. You don't have to live in our cities. You can live wherever you want to.
This is a helicopter in the middle of that platform that you see.
And all the ships, and those are fish farms in the sea. You can't keep taking things out of the ocean without putting back into the ocean the necessary ingredients for promoting the fish. We just selfishly remove things from the ocean. We pump up the soil so plants will grow twice as fast. This is a world fair, and it's not for entertainment. It's for taking normal people, normal means mixed up, and putting them through a system that shows them what the problems are. Not entertainment. Disney World is entertainment.
Is this like re-education?
When they go through it, no. When they go through it, they come out smarter. They learn new things that they've never heard. Houses will vary. I don't know what the future will be like, so I've designed many different types of buildings for art centers, music centers, bridges with towers, offshore living. Like I say, the houses will vary. The airplanes will vary. They'll have no ailerons, no rudders. They'll discharge electrons in the wingtip for banking. When you cut into the structure to make flaps and ailerons, you weaken it. And the hydraulic lines fail, you die. So here you have space and the earth, a beautiful gift we got, and we're lousing it up because we're not wise enough to use our technology intelligently. That's what the Venus Project is about. It has nothing to do with what Fresco wants. It has to do what is possible. First, we do a survey of the Earth to see what exists, how much arable land, how much factories we have, and then after that survey, we maintain a population that's in accordance with the carrying capacity of the Earth. If you don't do that, if your population keeps exploding, you're going to have mass starvation, hunger, territorial disputes, unless you maintain a population that's relevant to the carrying capacity of the Earth. Nothing to do with Fresco. Do you understand? Fresco has nothing to say. He gathers that information.
Are you in favor of reducing the population of the planet, Jacque?
Not by force, by education.
What, so people would breed less?
Yes, education.
Okay.
Understanding what the consequences are.
All right, let me
now,
read
I want to tell you something.
Let me read out a couple of texts, because you'll like these ones. Roxanne Moore says, the Venus Project is genius. Couldn't agree with Jacque and... Oh, sorry, and Roxanne Moore. I'm sorry, that's not her name. So, Carol says, 93 and sharp as a button, you're an inspiration. And here's one, I don't know who this is from. It says, a worthy vision, a genuine real start in the right direction. How do we survive the transition period?
I'm sorry about that, but the transition period will be painful. And if we get enough support, it'll be easier. But it's not an easy task, moving from a monetary system to a resource-based economy. There's going to be trouble. I'm sorry, I have no control over that.
Okay.
As we said, we would like to do a major motion picture to introduce people in an entertaining way what this future could be like. And at the end, we'd like to have people walk out and say, why don't we build this today? We'd like to give them something to advocate that's possible and that's positive for the future for everyone. And then we'd like to build a first city, a planning center where people can come and look at it and see how it works. And then people from different parts of the world could go and build one in their country.
So how, because you didn't really answer the question before, how do people get on board? How do they get on board?
Oh, they write us, they send us letters and say, what do you want us to do to help this?
And what do you tell them?
We tell them to become familiar with the Venus Project, look at our website, and then hold meetings at your churches, at clubhouse, wherever you belong. The Venus Project is not about architecture. It's about a way of thinking. And if people learn this way, we're more apt to have a greatly improved world. It's not perfect. It's just a hell of a lot better than what we've got.
We're asking
and if you don't understand that, I'm sorry.
We're asking
I can't twist your wrist. I can only tell you that we are capable today of producing such an abundance. Don't take my word for it. Go to Sears, any department, you'll see lots of stuff. What the hell are you selling things for? If he gets a dental infection, a dentist makes $1,500. If somebody dents your car, he makes money straightening it out. We're all predatory in this system. In the other system, we're all for humanity and the protection of the environment by all nations. It cannot be done in America alone. If you do it in America or England alone, and the Russians and Chinese do nuclear experiments, they contaminate the ocean. We must invite all nations in so that there's no powerful group that controls anything. So all the nations sit around in a circular auditorium, a dome about 40 feet in diameter, and they talk together about the planning center. So the Chinese say, I see no place for recreation, and that occurs. It's an architect. And somebody says, yes, but what do you do in a hurricane? Well, the steel corrugated walls that slide instead of you nailing up panel boards. It shows all those things. What if a guy doesn't want to live in your city? Say he's a member of the Amish.
Somebody asked that question, actually.
The Amish people, like they would want to live in it. So we help them build. We'll build a city for them, but it'll be of fireproof materials. But if the Amish people say, we like wood, then you're responsible for fire or whatever you do. If you don't follow our plan, we don't hurt you, we don't remove support.
But isn't that a bit totalitarian? Isn't it a bit do as we say?
No, we don't say that. We say,
you just did.
If you join with us, we will share resources. If you don't, you have to be responsible for what you choose. If you say you want a swimming pool, we'll build it for you. But we will recommend lifesavers that can go out from a person say help. The lifesaver goes out and helps them right away. You say, I don't want that. Well, that's up to you. If you don't want anything we have to offer, you are responsible. But we will help you do what you want. All churches will be free to practice whatever religion they want, but they don't pass the hat around anymore. We support the churches and everything else. It's up to you to turn things off. So I want to say we don't have a democracy. We never had a democracy. In a democracy, our president would criticize another country. When he was through, we'd invite the prime minister of that country on the air for an hour and a half, same time the president had. when we'd invite the Prime Minister of Sweden. He said, they're both wrong. This is how I see it. That's a democracy. We have every point of view. Well, you've got military people on television talking about the war, always military people from the Pentagon, politicians that are pro-war. You don't get any views from social scientists, sociologists. That is managed news, and we don't care for that.
Okay.
You understand? Fresco's voice is not the only one. You have every other point. We never build a city until a group of people come in called the study of the negative retroaction of any project. When you build a dam to generate electricity, the fish can't get to the spawning grounds, so we build stepped systems where the fish can work their way up to the spawning ground. You just don't build a dam to generate electricity. Now, the computers will tell us that 5 years after that dam is built, the water table is going to change 20 miles away because you cut off the tributaries, and that will stop the beavers from building dams, and trees will die. We can't do that. Computers can. So I want to use computers to assist human life, not to operate warplanes and machine guns and laser weapons. That's the wrong thing. Do you know that there's a project under the mountains for all senators to go to in America?
I'm sure.
And it can support them for 6 months. What do you come out to? A burnt-out radioactive planet? What the hell good is that? That's no solution to any problems.
Let me read another text. This one, I don't know who it's from. It says, have faith that people are more enlightened and maybe more receptive than in the past. And they say, this is in capital letters, build it and they will come. This is like Field of Dreams, isn't it? So, build it. Why not build it? Why not get people to give you the money to build it?
Research centers. We built a research center in Venus, Florida, where we build hundreds of models of dams, power projects, bridges, and
Can
real
people
buildings.
go and see this?
And real
Yes.
buildings.
I know there's a
We
film
have
on your
tours.
website, isn't
We
there?
have
There's
tours on our website.
It's not quite like that, though, is it? It's not quite like the film we
No,
saw.
we have built 10 buildings. We have hundreds of models where we shoot videos. And, you know, you're asking about what people can do. They can help in any way that they can. If they can write articles, if they can get lectures, if they can help financially. We want to do this movie. We want to build a research center. We can't make it happen. We don't have the funding. But if people cooperate, then we can do more. It just depends on what other people do.
Well, talking about
Not
cooperation,
up to us.
There's a guy here called Rob in Wigan who's asked this question several times, so yes, I'm going to read it out. Please answer this question. How do you get over the language barrier which can cause conflict by misunderstanding alone?
Yes.
So how do you do that?
This is true. So there is a language that's not subject to interpretation. When you read the Bible, he says Jesus meant this, and you say, no, he meant that, and he says, you're both wrong. So you got the Lutheran, the Seventh-day Adventist, the Catholic, because it's subject to interpretation. There's a language that's not subject to interpretation.
And what's that?
Mathematics, structural engineering. When engineers talk to each other, they say, believe me, this is strong. They give you the tensile strength, the torsional strength, the compression strength. So they talk about things in the world, not words.
But people can't even agree how the World Trade Center towers collapsed.
I'm sorry, that's the way they
All
were
three of them.
misinformed.
All four,
I didn't make that world. I'm just saying there is another way. Physics, mathematics, chemistry does not cater to old beliefs. It gets out and says, by the way, your notion about some guy creating people and turning them loose in a beautiful garden, and then snakes that walked upright came and said, eat of the fruit of knowledge. That's a terrible thing to tell people. That Noah took 2 kinds of every animal. If he did, the ship would have to be a mile long. Who cleans all the crap out of that ship? In other words, the stories are so fabulous and stupid that people that follow that have never been educated.
I've got to say, I've always had a problem with that original sin idea that I was born with some